Welcome to another Bills recap. We got Week 14. The Bills took home a loss versus the Ravens, 24-17. It was a tough fought game. I mean, the Bills hung in it. I don't think the game necessarily was as close offensively as the score says it was, but that's the best team in the league right now, the Baltimore Ravens, and the Bills, lost by 7 at home. Let's start quick just talking about the defense. Our big keys going into the game were to stop Lamar Jackson, and we went in depth on how to stop him. And I know your key was the Bills holding Lamar to under 50 yards, and they did that.
Yeah, Lamar had a couple, runs that he looked like he was going to get going, and the Bills kind of had good pursuit angles on it. I think he had one big run in the first half where he took it up the left side or the opposing sideline. The Bills defense held him under 50 yards, and that's way bigger than most people, think, because the quarterback rushing for Lamar has been like one of their main sources of offense. And you could tell like such a low scoring game that it really affected, how the Ravens were going to attack in the second half. So that was huge that the Bills did that, and they definitely accomplished their job.
I mean, just look at these stats overall. He had 40 yards rushing. He averaged 3.6 yards a carry, which is really good for the Bills, really bad for Lamar.
Oh, yeah.
He was averaging over 7 yards per carry going into the game. And then throwing the ball, he had 3 touchdowns, but only 145 yards passing. So they held him to under 200 yards total offense, which if you would have told me going into the game, I would have said, oh, my God, the Bills should have won. And to be honest, they probably should have if they could have got anything from their offense. But I think probably the biggest thing coming away from this game was the field position that the Ravens had all throughout the first half and on every scoring drive.
Oh, my God, yeah.
So I called up the Amateur Hour Sports research team, and they came up with this stat. So on the 4 scoring drives that the Ravens had, their average field position was on the Buffalo 49-yard line. That means that they started in Buffalo territory every single drive, on average. And as a result, they put the ball either in the end zone or through the uprights. And I think that tells the whole game. That's probably why Lamar didn't have that many yards. It's because special teams and turnover, the one turnover that Josh Allen had, set the Ravens up with a short field, and they capitalized on it. And you're not going to win football games when the opposing team is averaging starting on your side, when they're scoring.
Yeah.
And one of them was Josh's fumble when he fumbled at the 24-yard line.
Yeah.
And Lamar followed that up with that flipped in the end zone to Boyle.
Yeah.
Put him up 10-0. I mean, defensively, I don't think they could have played a better game. I mean, you're talking about the MVP candidate. They were steamrolling every opponent that they played, all these blowouts, and they held him to under 200 yards. And he really, I mean, he wasn't the same threat that he was against every other team. So,
yeah, I'm looking down the stats right now for the receivers, and besides Hayden Hurst, nobody had over 30 yards. But I mean,
right.
And Hayden Hurst had that one,
he had a 60-yard touchdown.
60-yard touchdown. So it really 61-yard touchdown. So it really wasn't even the passing game that really affected. And it really
and it wasn't the running game either, though. I mean, Mark Ingram averaged 3.3 yards per carry. Yeah. I mean, like, how else would you explain the lack of productivity from the Ravens?
And my coaches, every stage in life that I played football at, they're just field position, and turnovers are the key to winning games. And the Ravens won both of those. Yeah, and that brings me to the O-line. The O-line let up 6 sacks in the game. One of them was a strip sack that gave Baltimore great field position on their touchdown drive. So that would feed back into turnovers and field position. There you go with another turnover. But yeah, the O-line needs to play better. I mean, the defensive line for the Ravens were having their day. Judon was playing great. Those linebackers were flying through. I was kind of taken back. I was taken back a step with the O-line. We were giving them praise the past couple of weeks, especially Cody Ford and Morris. But they definitely did not play their best game. and they got to pick it up next week. That's for sure. They definitely need to pick it up against those defensive linemen for the Steelers.
Yeah, they picked. I mean, I don't want to get too much into the preview because we'll talk about it in another video, but that performance against Baltimore scares the living crap out of me for an even bigger, the number one sacking defense with the Steelers and the number one turnover defense in the Steelers. Like that, they played way too poor of a game against the Ravens to go into that game against the Steelers, which we'll talk about in another video, but I mean, yeah, my thoughts on the O-line, like you said, they didn't keep him clean. He was under duress all game. And the Ravens, you got to give them credit. They had a great defensive game plan. They blitzed Josh Allen like crazy.
They were covering Beasley, Brown. Oh, they had great coverage on all those guys.
Right.
I know Bills tried to work in Isaiah McKenzie, and like he was even locked down by one of their cornerbacks. So it was like, who is open? And
the thing is, they were in cover zero. I forget the exact stat, but they were in cover zero majority of the game, and the Bills just had no answer for it. And we saw it, from the get-go when Josh was missing those overthrows, which I think if he hits even one of those overthrows in the beginning, that totally changed the dynamic of the game. Because if he hits one, Ravens are scared he's going to hit another. They back off the blitz, they back off coverage. But Josh, I mean, maybe even a little of Daboll too, but they had no answer for the blitz. They had no answer to move the ball. The only, I think, positive was Devin Singletary, who again averaged over 5 yards a carry.
Yeah, and it was definitely very concerning. Those first couple overthrows that Josh had, just watching those and being a quarterback myself, the wind is obviously a huge factor when you're throwing the ball.
Right.
And Josh throws such a tight spiral that it doesn't affect it as much. He's got such a strong arm, and what was making me so mad was he was throwing out line. He was just throwing darts, and there was no loft on the ball for the receiver to make any adjustments. And he did it like 3 times in a row, which was even more like frustrating because he should have learned after like the first or the second one. And if he gives that guy a chance, he's got a strong enough arm. He could put a little bit of loft on it and let the receiver come down and find it.
Yeah, I think he's in. Would you say he's in his own head right now? I mean, you're a quarterback. After you miss a couple of those deep throws, I would gotta think your confidence goes down, and it's hard to get a judgment on the ball. You factor in the wind, sure, but with a really strong arm like him, I would imagine as a quarterback, you miss a couple, and he's been missing them all season. Let's face it, he hit one, but how much does that play into your confidence as a quarterback?
Well, when I played, I definitely did not have the strongest arm of any quarterback. And so the wind was always a factor in my opinion. There were certain ways when I was like directions on the field when you orient yourself where you're just like, I could throw the ball a mile, and then going away, you're like, I don't even know if I can hit like a 10-yard hit curl route because the wind is so strong. So when you have two different wind, like the wind direction, especially going with the end zones, like end zone to end zone, and making one end, like you can whip the ball and one end where you're not, it kind of makes you have to adjust yourself twice on the field, which can kind of like derail you a little bit and throw you off. And I don't think Josh's confidence was hurt. I think he was struggling all day to just find that rhythm and that sweet spot and try to figure out the win, which, I mean, he's an NFL quarterback. I'm not going to give him that excuse, though. He should be able to figure that out and come out with the win and hit those balls. So whoever's the quarterback coach is for the Bills, I don't actually know who it is.
Ken Dorsey.
Ken Dorsey. He's got to really, because the weather in Buffalo towards the end of the year is always windy, frozen tundra. So he's got to really, really fix that. And listening to Ian Eagle and Dan Fouts, and they were talking about how Josh's deep ball is just his most inaccurate throw. And I never really thought about it because he doesn't really throw it that much. But just watching, like, I think he threw like 3 in a row where he just overthrew the receiver. I was like, bro, come on.
Yeah.
Like,
it's frustrating to watch.
Yeah.
But, I mean, let's.
Like 3 and out after 3 and out. It's like, come on.
And that, I have 2 points I want to talk about. I guess since you just said that, I want to touch on, how not necessarily forcing the ball, but taking these deep shots, he sort of got in like this habit of doing it early. And I think to start the game, he wasn't in rhythm whatsoever. And I don't think necessarily he needs to be looking for those deep shots right off the bat. Like he needs to, take these easy completions, takes what's given to him, and just move the ball down the field. And we've touched on it in previous episodes, where the completion percentage isn't, his, it doesn't measure his accuracy, but it measures his ability to move the football and, find, checkdowns and, just move the football down the field, have an efficient game.
His completion percentage completely correlates to win or loss. Let's put that out there.
Yeah. I mean, you've talked about it before. When he's over 60%, they've won. When he's under, they lost. And this one, he was 17 for 39. His completion percentage was 43%. Hitting on your hypothesis, it's absolutely correct. In games, he just can't get in a rhythm. Completion percentage is low. They lose the game. But, I mean, we've talked a lot about Josh Allen, and he definitely did not play his best game by any means. However, I do want to touch on the receivers, tight ends, and running back, who all played a big role in his completion percentage because they dropped the ball frequently. Beasley had a huge drop on a third down. There was an awesome throw by Josh, perfectly placed, right over his shoulder, and Beasley just straight up dropped it. Knox had a huge drop on third down. I think he had two of them.
Yeah,
Singletary
Josh threw it across his body to Knox. Was perfect.
Hits him in stride. I know as a receiver, I do it all the time. You just look, or you're bracing for contact. You're not watching the ball in, and it just pops right out. So as much as Josh, needs to hit those deep balls, his receivers need to make plays for him. And I was tweeting from Amateur Hour Sports on Twitter. Give us a follow. Just nobody was making plays. Singletary had a 38-yard run, but other than that, nobody made a play. And Beasley, being that vet guy that we brought in, who's supposed to be, Josh's safety blanket, he needs to make that throw. He needs to be the guy that, steps up and makes that play. Yeah. Or John Brown. I don't think John Brown has as many opportunities, but
I'd almost rather see, you've seen these cut-ups of, I think last week, you saw Mahomes just absolutely getting after it to his guys on the sideline. You saw all this passion coming out, and you see Tom Brady has passion all the time. I almost would love to see Josh Allen. I know he's such a reserved guy, and that's his thing. But at some point, you need to show a little bit of emotion to show that you care and you know that you're better. Just see him pump, not negative, but let's go. We got this. Kind of
Well, let me ask you this, because, I've definitely dropped my fair share of passes, and I'm sure you've had your fair share of overthrows. But if you're the quarterback and you're missing these throws, and sure, I drop a pass, but how can you pump me up when I'm dude, you need to figure it out,
Well, I think he's definitely gained the credibility of everybody in the locker room in his fourth quarter comebacks. So everyone can kind of look back and be okay, he's going to pick it up. I have faith in him that he's going to turn it around every drive. He's always proven he can bounce back, and that's one of the things I like about him. Yeah. So from that standpoint, he can definitely turn it around at any point, which is huge.
Yeah, and being the leader that he is, and he's a captain, and I know he's commanded, the locker room. Being a leader helps with that. If you're a true leader, you can still call out your guys when you're not having a good game. Hey, dude, we all need someone to make a play. We all need someone to step up. Yeah. So
it's almost he's calling his own number and your number. He's let's go make a play.
Right.
On me and you, which is what you need to do as a leader.
Yeah, I agree. I would love to see him show a little more emotion. Maybe we'll see it.
I want to see him that passion he had on the first down in Dallas. But when he's down, I want to see him show that passion to his players. Because I'd run through a brick wall for him if he did that to me.
I know. I know the feeling. Yeah. He gets me fired up. Hopefully he gets those guys fired up. So let's end on a positive note here. Just looking forward to the next game in our preview for the Bills-Steelers Sunday Night Football game. The Bills, they're still in this. They lost to the best team in the NFL, in the Ravens, but they're still in this. If they win on the road in Pittsburgh, they are in the playoffs. What are you most looking forward to, I guess?
I'm looking forward to the playoffs, man. It's just such a good feeling, especially back when we made it last when Tyrod was commanding us.
Yeah.
When we played Jacksonville, we should have won that game, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So it's kind of unfinished business.
Yeah. No, I agree. I can't wait for this game on Sunday. I really hope they turn it around. I think everybody needs to play their best game. It's not an easy opponent, but
yeah, the pressure's on. Let's see how they respond.
Yeah, it backs up against the wall. Honestly, and
it's not really that dramatic, but they need to treat it like it is that dramatic, in my opinion.
I think they need to pull out one of these wins against a top team.
I think, they need to either beat – the thing is you either beat the Steelers or New England, and you're feeling good going into the playoffs. But if you lose both those games and you beat the Jets, they'd fall to that last playoff spot, and they'd have to play the 3rd seed. So, I mean, that could be a huge factor.
Yeah.
They gotta come out and keep that wild card spot or take the division.
I like
we could do that.
I think we're that. Only time will tell, though. Let's take it one game at a time. So thanks for watching this Ravens-Bills recap. We have a lot of stuff coming out this week, including our Heisman predictions. We have our Bills preview. We have our Who You Got, our weekly segment.
Yeah.
We got a lot of football content coming out this week.
Very exciting week. Very exciting week.
The season's it's all coming to an end here. So we appreciate you sticking with us. Any last thoughts for you, Dino?
No, I'm excited to see the Bills play again on prime time. They didn't disappoint me last time, that's for sure.
Yeah, for sure. This will be a great game. Yeah, hopefully they can put it together for this one and be in the playoffs. And then we can just our emotions, we can just be chilling.
We can all just drink beer and be happy instead of tensed up on a couch with a pillow over my face like I was in the Dallas game.
Yep.
Yeah.
For sure. All right. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you in the next video.